Winnie, Donna, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. For those of you who come here early this morning, I hope you have a very good Tai Chi sessions earlier. The subject of today's forum is directly related to one of the key strategic planning directions to improving the livability of Hong Kong as advocated under Hong Kong 2030 Plus study. In the Hong Kong 2030 Plus study, we advocate for reinventing public spaces. And as we all appreciate, Hong Kong is a compact, high-density city where space has always been scarce and confined, be it in the past, present, and in the foreseeable future. We will continue to find public space to extend our sort of personal living space. And as such, it is of paramount importance for us to rethink, reimagine, and reinvent our public spaces, from quantity to quality, as well as from planning and design to their daily management. And in terms of quantity, the Civic Exchange publication last year has painted a very good picture of where Hong Kong stands internationally in terms of per capita open space provision. And taking on board Civic Exchange recommendations, as well as the public comment that we have received during the public engagement exercise of the Hong Kong 2030 Plus study, I believe that there is scope to further enhance our per capita open space standard in the long run. And to achieve this, we would need to holistically rethink the concept of open space in Hong Kong. And as the current study rightly points out, people do utilize various informal and unofficial public space for leisure and recreational purposes. And such space may not be zoned as open space on the statutory town plans, but it does not hamper the public from using these spaces. The Tai Chi sessions that some of you attended earlier this morning is exactly a case in point. This suggests that our current concept of public open space needs fundamental rethinking, and the definition of which would also need to be suitably widened. Another aspect that ought to be broadened is the opportunity that people to utilize the public space that suits their own leisure and recreational needs. And admittedly, when people of my age were young, and believe me, that was a long, long time ago, we have public spaces all around us, be it kicking a ball on the street, or riding a bike in the corridors, or maybe playing hide and seek in the neighborhood. And the opportunity was there for people to imagine, experiment, or even fantasize how we use the public space. And in the process of doing so, we would become more attached to these places, both physically and sentimentally. And in this respect, I share Civic Exchange's recommendation to relax some of the regulations to our public spaces so as to enable a more diverse range of activities to take place. And in particular, one aspect that ought to be liberated is the programming, or more specifically, should I say, over-programming of public spaces. We live in a city where mixed uses are taken for granted, both horizontally and vertically. And in doing so, we ensure that land is used efficiently, where people from all walks of life could interact. And through these interactions, people would develop a culture of mutual respect for one another. And this same concept of inclusiveness and co-use needs to percolate in the design and management of our public spaces. The design and management models of our public spaces need to cater for the diverse needs of people with different abilities and backgrounds. And how we can reconcile the different needs of public space users will certainly be a big challenge. But it is a challenge that our capable designer and manager would like to sort of take up and would gladly take up. I'm sure that we will find out more on this particular aspect from some of our panelists later this morning. And one of the objectives of today's forum is to raise public awareness over public spaces. And to complement this objective, I would like to sort of offer you with some food for thought in thinking about the access, disposition, design, and user requirements of our future public spaces. And as you all know, Hong Kong is being faced with a major aging phenomenon, and the proportion of our aging or elderly population is projected to increase from 17% in the year 2016 to 37% in the year 2066. And if you link this trend with civic exchange findings that retirees and elderlies are the most frequent visitors to parks, it is clear that there will be considerable pressures on our public open space in the decades to come. Moreover, the actual and perceived accessibility of public spaces from where elderly live is a key factor that influences how often they would use these spaces. And researchers from overseas suggest that elderly are only willing to walk a few minutes to access public parks. And in the Yau Ma Tei and Mong Kok area, which is one of the most sort of a densely populated urban area and neighborhoods in the world, and using a pedestrian shade analysis, and my colleagues found that within an elderly walking distance of 5 minutes, the existing public open space in the Yau Ma Tei and Mong Kok area could serve 95% of the local residents. However, bearing in mind that many elderly would like to go to the park early in the morning, they would like to use their outdoor fitness equipment in the park, as well as while they were in the park, very often they need to answer the nature's call to visit the toilet. So if we take these three factors, i.e. early opening hour, availability of fitness equipment and toilet facilities into account, we found that the catchment of this elderly-friendly public open space falls dramatically to cover less than a quarter of the residents in the Yau Ma Tei and Mong Kok area. So how we can better serve the open space need of our elderly in the densely developed urban area will certainly be a major challenge that we all have to face in the years to come. And given the existing context, some may argue that it is impossible to further enhance open space provision in this area. However, if I tell you that vehicular roads take up 5 times more area than public open space in Yau Ma Tei and Mong Kok, and you will begin to see where the opportunities are. If we could seize the opportunity of a plan-led, neighborhood-based approach to urban renewal, and for every 1% of public roads that we could convert into public open space, there would be subsequently a 5% increase in public open space. This is what I meant by reinventing public open spaces, turning challenges into opportunities. In today's forums, there will be presentations and panel discussions, as well as space walks later in the afternoon. This forum promises to be a stimulating and thought-provoking opportunity to think about the quintessential spaces of our city, i.e. our public open space. While unfortunately I cannot stay for longer, several of my colleagues are here. I'm pretty sure they will be able to learn from today's proceedings, and I trust that Kirin's latest findings will be of enormous reference values to both my department's work as well as for other relevant departments and stakeholders. And I'm also very glad that this forum has reached out to so many stakeholders, as the responsibilities to rethink our public open spaces cannot be shouldered by a few people alone. So in closing, I wish the forum every success, and I hope everyone will take the opportunity to inspire one another and be inspired in the process. Thank you very much.